Part 7. Spiritual helpers. Humankind has always believed in the existence of higher beings or angels. Although mythological in concept, the idea of someone to watch over us is a widely accepted belief. According to religious texts, an angel is a spiritually evolved entity who exists in a heavenly plane and guards us against impending danger or disaster. Most of us were first introduced to the idea of angels as small children, when we were told that we have our very own guardian angel. The idea of a guardian angel is one of the few truisms that organized religion has not destroyed. For indeed, we do have guardian angels or guides who intervene for us and assist in our earthly missions, but not in the ways they are so often depicted. In other words, our guides or angels do not have wings, nor do they sit on clouds and play harps. These images originated in mythology and were embellished in paintings by artists. Actually, wings are the beautiful bands of color that encircle 62 an angel. You might say, it is the angel's aura or energy field, something that surrounds every living being, from plants, animals, and trees to ourselves and our own precious earth. Spirit guides are unique for each person. There are many types of guides, and to me, guardian angels and guides are one and the same. Before we were born, we mapped out a blueprint for our life's journey. When we veer off our life's path, usually a guide will help us to get back on track. Depending on our individual spiritual evolution and earthly work ahead, we will draw to us various helpers from three distinct categories. The first group of guides are personal guides. These are persons we have known in previous incarnations or in between lifetimes with whom we share an affinity. These guides assist us from spiritual realms by impressing our minds with ways to involve ourselves in certain situations. These impressions are signs from our spirit guides. Most of the time, these subtle indicators go unnoticed. But if we take the time to stop and listen and evaluate our day, we may begin to see and or hear spirit's messages. For most people, it is difficult to feel guidance from spirit because they want and or expect blatant directives, as if Gabriel were to blow his horn. I'm talking to Heaven 63, sorry, but it doesn't quite work that way. Messages and or guidance are subtle and gentle contact. The following is an example of how spirit communication generally works. It's Thursday, and you have a meeting with a potential partner regarding a business proposition. On the way, you either lose the address or you get lost trying to find the place. This seems quite odd to you because you are very familiar with this part of town. After a half hour of driving around, you locate the building, but now you can't find a parking place. You finally find one several blocks away. When you arrive at the building, the front entrance is locked, so you search for another way inside. A security guard opens the door, and you take the elevator to the designated floor. When you get off, the office is locked, and a note taped to the door gives direction to another office on another floor. You finally find the office and meet your prospective business partner. You listen to the deal, and throughout the conversation, you have a gnawing feeling in the pit of your stomach. You feel something, but you're not sure what it is. Nevertheless, you agree to go into business. Several months later, after investing all your life savings into this business, your new partner skips town with all your money and any trace of what turned out to be a phony business scam. I realize that I have taken this scenario to the North James Van Praagh 64 degree, but first wanted to point out just how spirit guidance works. There is a pattern to this story: too many incorrect turns, wrong directions, and closed doors. If you had taken the time to observe the subtle clues, you would have understood that someone was trying to tell you something. Your spirit guides were trying to warn you. Unfortunately, too many of us go through life in a fog and usually need to be hit over the head with a baseball bat to become aware of what is going on around us. On the positive side, spirit communication might go something like this: for some time, you have been looking for a job but with no luck. A friend from whom you haven't heard in quite a while calls you and asks you to lunch. You check your calendar and note that the only day you have available is the day she suggests. When you meet her, it's as if you never lost touch. Everything feels perfect. You tell her your predicament, and she says she'll keep an eye out for you. A day later, your friend calls and tells you that a position in a nearby department just became available. You immediately call for an interview using your friend as a referral. An appointment is easily made for the next day. You get to the interview with plenty of time to spare. During your interview, the head of the department, who is usually out of town, is talking to Heaven 65 available to interview you right there on the spot. She meets you, likes you, and you get the job. Do you see the difference? Everything in the second example happened serendipitously. I don't think there is anything like coincidence or luck. Our spirit guides draw to us what we have earned. The person looking for a job took action with the signs from spirit. She had the free will not to meet her friend, but she chose to do so. Her guides were communicating, and she had the sense to follow. After that, everything seemed to fall into place. Often, I receive similar helpful messages when I do readings for people. I remember telling a sitter that he had recently bought a house, to which he replied, yes. I told him that everything about the house seemed perfect, and if he could recall the way he got the house, it was a bit bizarre. I said, either someone fell out of escrow, or the lender bent over backwards to assist you. His reply was again, yes. That was exactly what happened. I told him that his deceased wife helped him to get the house by giving him signs along the way. He said, everything seemed so easy. He really just followed through on the signs, although he may not have been consciously aware of them. One of the very first psychics I met in Los Angeles told me something quite profound. I remember it to this day and will share it with you. If everything is Gojam's van Praagh 66ing right and there seems to be no glitches, you are open to spirit and following your guidance. If, on the other hand, nothing seems to be working out, you are not listening to the guides and will end up on the wrong path. Very true. A personal guide might also be someone you have known in this lifetime. For instance, it might be a mother or father, a grandparent, an aunt or uncle, or a friend who has passed into the spirit world. When someone passes over, he or she does not stop thinking of you. The love bond created on earth continues in the spirit world. Once in heaven, a spirit might review her life and see how she should have done more to help you while she was alive. Now that she has the opportunity, she can take full advantage of it and will provide support in any way she can. This might be in the form of helping with daily events, or family concerns, or supporting you through personal upsets or changes. Personal guides may make vigorous attempts to guide us through our daily lives and impress us with the best way to remedy certain situations. However, at the same time it is important to note that these loved ones cannot and do not interfere with those lessons or challenges that we have created on earth from which to learn and grow. Our learning process is never an easy one, and in order for us to get the most benefit from a particular talking to heaven 67 situation or life lesson, many times these guides just stand by and watch us make our decisions. Even though at times it seems things are unbearable, it is at those times that we learn the most. Many people ask if our guides are with us all the time or whether we have to reach out to them and ask them to come through. My answer is, we are never alone. Our guides are with us always. Their spiritual task is to watch over us and assist us. Our guides may change from time to time depending on the task in which we are involved. But we never need to call them, for they know our needs and are always ready to lend us a hand. The second category is made up of mastery or specialized helpers. These are spirits who are drawn to us based on certain activities or work in which we are engaged. Mastery guides possess a certain expertise in a field that we are endeavoring to undertake. Usually, these beings are experts in their particular fields of knowledge. For instance, if you decide to write a mystery story, your thoughts will draw to you an author who has worked or has specialized in that particular type of writing. This guide may impress your mind with certain ways to develop your writing skills and best carry out your ideas. The same is true for musicians, artists, mathematicians, scientists, teachers, social workers, and others. Particular guides are drawn to us or will James Van Praagh 68 come if we ask for assistance. The more open you are to your impressions and feelings, the more successful the transmission and the end result. This is true for everyone. It is simply a matter of our being receptive. All work, especially that of the great masters, is inspired by the spirit world. Why do these guides want to help us? The answer is simple, it is the way. When we pass into the world of spirit, we become keenly aware that we are all equally one. We want to help humankind to grow, to learn, to share ideas, to better itself. By impressing their thoughts upon humans and aiding them, spiritual guides help humankind to tune into the spiritual force in all things. Again, depending on how open we are, spirit inspirations may be exceptional and awe-inspiring, or they might be patiently waiting for the day when they are noticed. The third category of helpers contains our spirit or master teachers. These individuals may be quite spiritually evolved, or may never have lived in the physical world, or may have been involved in some aspect of spiritual work during many lifetimes upon this earth. Like our other guides, they, too, gravitate to us based upon our level of spiritual evolution and understanding. Spirit teachers have a strong desire to help us in our spiritual progression. They often try to impress upon us our spiritual gifts and potentialities. This guidance is talking to heaven 69 immeasurable to anyone who is on the path to spiritual enlightenment. Most of us will have one or two of the same master teachers throughout our soul's evolution lifetime after lifetime. These beings are tuned into our spiritual selves and will help us to grow spiritually throughout our time on the physical plane, as well as assist us in between lives. In addition, we will have individual master guides during a particular lifetime. Once again, based on our soul's evolution, a guide is drawn to us to help with important lessons or aspects of our personalities that need to be perfected. For example, we might have a guide to assist us in learning unconditional love. Or a master guide may help us in lessons about selfishness. The saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, is quite true. Becoming aware of my guides, I have become aware of my own guides and teachers through several different means. Once, a gifted clairvoyant by the name of Irene Martin Giles in England informed me that there was a nun from the Order of Sisters of Mercy who works with me to learn compassion. Her name is Sister Theresa. The clairvoyant described Sister Theresa in detail, right down to the brilliant blue color of her eyes. When James Van Praagh 70 she told me this, I was astounded. As mentioned earlier, I went to a Catholic school for 8 years. The school was run by the Sisters of Mercy Order. Irene continued to tell me that a Chinese man named Chang was my spiritual teacher. Chang had come through many times to help in the delivery of messages to my clients. Finally, Irene began to draw a picture of the spirit she saw in her mind's eye. When I saw Master Chang's warm face, I felt a loving attraction to it. He wore a small cap, sort of a beanie, with an orange top and blue brim. It was the type of cap quite prevalent in China during the early 1900s. He was draped in a long, cobalt blue robe that covered him fully. The robe was accented by an orange mandarin collar with matching orange cuffs. His hands were interlocked within his sleeves. His face was long and narrow, and his eyes were brown and gave a sense of wise gentleness. He wore a traditional Chinese ponytail of the period. The starkness of his bald head was alleviated by a majestic goatee. In the center of his robe near his heart chakra was a golden, 10-pointed star that signified spiritual wisdom. In the middle of the star was a green jewel that represented unconditional love. He was surrounded by the gold light of the highest spiritual realm. This gold light marked Chang as a master. I was not made aware of his most recent lifetime, talking to Heaven 71, or if he ever lived upon the earth. Many times a guide will dress in a style from a period of time that he or she enjoyed the most or that represents a dominant aspect of his or her identification. I could tell by looking at the picture of Chang that he was a soul who had touched the human experience many times. He was truly a master teacher. I learned about 2 other guides of mine in a somewhat unorthodox way. As a budding medium, it was important to develop my capabilities on an ongoing basis. So once a week I would sit in a darkened room with 6 people whom I chose to be with me. Actually, this routine is fairly common among psychics who want to fully develop their extrasensory gifts. During a session in our 4th week of training, I began to feel myself getting extremely tired and fell into a light trance state. This is a state when the conscious mind shuts off and any awareness of our body and our thoughts disappear. It is more common than we think. For instance, many of us are in a trance while engrossed in a television show or reading a book that we can't put down. More commonly, we go into a trance state right before falling asleep. When I came out of the trance half an hour later, I asked, "What happened?" The group was all excited to inform me of some remarkable results. "An English doctor came through you saying his James Van Praagh 72 name is Harry Aldrich," said one person. As they continued, they told me Harry Aldrich was a physician who lived on the northwest side of London. It became apparent that he died in the early 1930s. Someone in the group taped the session, and when I heard the tape, I could hardly recognize my voice. I heard a distinct English accent and a somewhat sober and deliberate manner. To some extent he was dictatorial, but his advice about my health and future sessions with the group was accurate. He said that he chose to return at this time to assist me in my work as a medium. One of the ways this guide helps me is by amplifying the energy around my physical body during my readings. He is also able to identify physical ailments that my clients may have. Harry Aldrich is a very kind man, but I certainly can feel his distinct authoritarian personality when he comes through. Some weeks later, we were once again sitting in a circle, and I went into a trance. Once again, another incredible manifestation occurred. When I awakened, my wife said, "You're never gonna believe what happened." "What?" I said. "A man came through by the name of Golden Feather," she said. "That is an Indian," I replied. "Talking to Heaven 73, a North American Indian, to be exact," she continued. One of the members of the group rewound the tape and played it. I couldn't believe my ears. I could hear the sound of a drum. "Where did the drum come from?" I asked. "That's no drum. That's the table in front of us," came the answer. Earlier that evening, we placed a table in the center of the room. I looked down at the table. I thought it quite amazing that the unique sound of an Indian tom-tom emerged from the very same table. As I continued to listen to the beating of a drum, there suddenly arose a vociferous sound of an Indian singing in his native language. The tune was beautiful and at the same time spellbinding. After 5 minutes, the singing ended abruptly. At that point the Indian began to speak. "We are all brothers. You and I are brothers. We come to you and bring you love. Everything is love. You must see love in all things. My name is Golden Feather. I am from the Brotherhood. We are with you always. We bring you love. As a sign, we give each one a feather from our headdress to wear as a symbol of our love." I sat there dumbfounded. It was so real, and yet I could not remember any part of it. I knew it was a special moment, and I was so thrilled that it had James Van Praagh 74 been captured on tape and witnessed by others. Since then, our group has sat every Tuesday evening. Occasionally, Golden Feather will come through me with words of love and wonder. If anything, these experiences make me realize that I am not doing this stuff by myself. I know that indeed there are those spiritual beings, unseen and unknown, who work on our behalf to assist in bringing about changes in our lives.
Soulmate, this is a part of Zindagi Ki Roshni consultancy. It has been established for those who have lost someone and for those who are very sad in their life. About 100 PDF books and 20 short audio books of this topic will be sent to those who join it. This data will be sent to their email or WhatsApp. If you want to join this organization, then please send WhatsApp message to this number.